Welcome to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case, and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. At 70 years old, B. Kilgore is proof that adventure does not come with an expiration date. A retired trauma ICU nurse of 20 years who completed 3 international medical missions, she's also a mountain climber and a regular on 100-mile cattle drives. B began competing in tennis at age 8 and was a highly ranked player from the ages of 8 to 21. Like so many, she eventually transitioned to pickleball, making the jump 5 years after she lost her husband. Since then, she's embraced the sport as another avenue to live boldly, traveling the world to play, compete, and teach in places including Japan, Mallorca, and England. Her achievements include 3 national titles, 6 U.S. Open titles, and the 2024 English Open Women's 65 Singles Championship. And she is currently ranked number 6 in the Masters Senior Pro Women's Doubles Division. Here at the Huntsman World Senior Games, she competed at the top level and earned gold in all 3 doubles events in the combined 60s to 70s. Pickleball has given B new purpose, lasting friendships, and an ever-widening world to explore. B, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Hey, you have done a lot of things. I know I just barely scratched the surface on that intro, but we love talking to people who have done unique adventures, and you've certainly done that. I want to start off with one of the most unique things that I think I've talked to anybody about, and that is the 100-mile cattle drive. Tell me a little bit about the cattle drive.
Well, that started, actually, I did a 100-mile horse drive. We brought in horses from their winter pastures to filter them out to dude ranches. And I met 2 cowboys from Wisconsin. One was a professional bull rider. And we swore after we survived the ride that we would do something every year. So we decided to go on cattle drives. And so this one particular one is 100 miles. It's on the backside of the Sierras. It's out of this wonderful ranch called Honeywell Ranch. And it's just moving cows in the fall to their winter pastures. And then they filter them off from there or keep them grazing where they are.
So I get the concept of what a cattle drive is all about. What I don't understand is how you get attached to one. Is there just like a sign-up sheet that goes around? Like how do you get attached to a 100-mile cattle drive?
Well, there are very few ranches that do them anymore. So it's really hard to find them. But I've been on 3 different ranches. This one, I actually know the owners. And you just call them up and say you want to go. And if they have room, they say, yeah, come on. It's the greatest way to really ride horses because you're on your own really the whole time you're riding.
So give us a few more details. How long does it take? Is it like you see in the movies where it's just all dust and you're sleeping under the open sky? Talk a little bit about what it's actually like.
It's a little of everything. In the fall, you never know what you get. I've ridden in the snow. It's dusty. It's again, a lot of the time you're on your own because you're finding cows that aren't with the herd, and you get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and get on your horse and start going, and you push the cows to a designated area because obviously it's really hard on the cattle. And we probably ride for about 6 or 7 hours a day, and then have a stopping point where they sleep for the night, and then we come back and start all over again.
And how many days is it?
That's
3 days, 5 days?
A week.
Okay.
I just did a cattle drive in Idaho at the McGarry Ranch, and it was very different. We were moving cattle from different pastures and grazing areas to other grazing areas before they brought them down out of the mountains to filter them out.
I think that's amazing. What an adventure, and even so creative that you would even think to have an adventure like that. I think it's amazing, especially at 70 years old. Have you always been a horse rider?
My parents exposed me to so many things growing up, but I learned how to ride when I was 5. We used to go to dude ranches when I was a kid, but then when I took up tennis, those skiing and horseback riding became, out of the picture. So it's something I've always loved to do. And when my husband died, I actually went on this horse drive several months after he passed away. He said, do what you love, sweetheart. And so I did it, and it was incredible.
Kind of fun to go back to something that was a part of your very early childhood days.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears a little bit. We're going to be doing that quite a bit throughout this conversation. You were an ICU nurse. You did that for about 20 years. Thank you for your service there, by the way. That's amazing. I want to talk a little bit about your medical missions. You've gone on missions to Guatemala, to San Salvador, as well as Jamaica. Talk a little bit about how you got involved and what are some of the things that you did on these 3 different medical missions?
So these medical missions were put together by a group called Interplast. They're a plastic surgery group out of Stanford Hospital. And they invited my dad, who was a prominent hand surgeon, to go on one. And I said, well, I want to go too. And I also was working in the recovery room. And so they said, great, we need recovery room nurses. And so we went on these missions together. And he did the hand surgery, but there was a lot of cleft lip and palate disease in these underdeveloped countries. So we changed these kids' lives forever by, bringing their lips together and their palates together. And it's such a beautiful thing to give back, but also to see these people that have nothing, and yet they're so happy and they're so appreciative. And I mean, it was some of the best nursing I ever did.
Were all of these missions, were they back to back to back, or were they spread out over your 20-year career?
They were spread out. Yeah, they were spread out.
And we've just recently had this devastating hurricane in Jamaica. Do you have any connections there that you still follow up with? Are people that you know okay, or do you not?
I don't. I don't, unfortunately. And this was probably almost 40 years ago when I went.
Okay.
And it wasn't what it is today, I'm sure. So I'm sure it was devastating no matter what.
Yeah, I'm sure that it was. And it's hard to maintain contact for over 40 years.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit more about, do you feel like those experiences, these medical missions and seeing the world, a piece of the world that many people will never see, do you think that contributed to some of the adventures that you continue to go on these days?
Absolutely. My parents, as I said, taught me how to be independent. I started traveling alone when I was 10. And they were very giving people. And so that was instilled in me, and making a difference to others always been important to me. So, the gravity of giving back in that, it's a small way. But I know that our team made a huge difference to a lot of very needy people.
There's no question that there is something just incredibly satisfying about being able to make a difference in people's lives. We feel that here at the Huntsman World Senior Games. I know you felt that in your life throughout the various career paths and choices that you've made. So thank you and congratulations for that. I want to talk about the tennis. You started playing tennis at a pretty young age. How did you get into it?
My parents put my brother in a tennis camp near our house, and I said, well, I want to go too. And so they said, okay. And off I went. And the coach there said, your daughter has incredible athletic abilities. And, that was the end of it. I got hooked very quickly.
And it sounds like you did, because you were a highly ranked player from all of your young childhood all the way up into your young adulthood. Do you have a favorite experience or tournament that you played at?
I had a lot of just 2 interesting ones. I played a girl in the finals when I was 8. She ended up being my doubles partner and college roommate. To me, that's very significant. And I've kept in touch with a lot of the kids that I grew up playing tennis with. But I also got to play with Clint Eastwood in a pro celebrity tournament. And he is one of the greatest guys I've ever met. The most humble, down to earth, really great guy.
You need to invite him on a cattle drive.
I know, but he's a little old now, unfortunately. He probably would go, but yes.
I don't know Clint Eastwood personally, but I'll bet he would go. His mantra is to don't let the old man in. And I think
right.
Jump at the chance to go on a cattle drive. But what a fun experience. How old were you when you played? Did you play against him or did you play with him?
No, he was my partner. We won 2 pro celebrity events. We played a pickleball, a ping pong event and tennis, and we won both. So That was when I was 21 and 22.
Wow. Which one was he better at? Table tennis or tennis?
Actually, table tennis. He
Uh,
played in the army and he was very good.
Okay. How fun is that? What an amazing experience. Um, you spent a lot of time playing tennis. Like I said, you started as a young child and you went into your adulthood. What were the lessons that tennis taught you, and why did you stick with it for so long at such a high level? Because that's a massive commitment of time.
Um, One was the camaraderie, the friendships I made, the discipline, staying physically fit, and just that I had the talent, a natural talent. I didn't have to work really hard. I think if I worked harder, I would have done more with my tennis career, but it served me very well. I have friends to this day, as I say, all over the world. And it's obviously helped me segue to pickleball.
So in my intro, we talked about you being highly rated from 8 until 21. You picked up pickleball a little bit later on in life. Did you continue to play tennis recreationally throughout that time, or did you take a break and step away for a while?
When I went to nursing school, I couldn't do both. I left Arizona State where I played for 2 years, and that was sort of the end of my tennis career. I also fell off a wall and tore my shoulder up, so I was out of tennis for quite a while, and I never missed it. I mean, I played recreationally, but yeah, I never missed the competition.
It had run its course. You had
Yes.
gotten everything you needed to out of it and were able to do some different things with your life, which I think is amazing. How did you get into pickleball?
Well, I think 6 years after my husband died, they put in some pickleball courts at our country club, and somebody invited me to play. And I said, all right, whatever. And it was such an easy game to pick up. And one of the members at the club said, you've got a lot of talent. You should come to another club where they've got better players. And then the next, it was like, oh, you should play tournaments. And I called a tennis friend of mine and said, come on, let's just kick some, what? And the rest is history.
So when I was a young man, in my early teenage years, there was kind of this battle on the hill between snowboarders and skiers. And there's been a little bit of that, maybe not quite so heated, but there's been a little bit of that between tennis and pickleball. Did you feel any of that, or were you just ready to step into pickleball?
Oh, I didn't feel any of that. No, I was ready to go. When I realized how fun it was and how quickly you met people that you would never ever meet in your life, that it become incredibly good friends of mine. No question. It was all pickleball.
I've said this many times, I'm gonna say it again. Pickleball is one of the most socially open sports out there. You can walk up to a public park, a city park, anywhere where there's a pickleball court. You don't have to know anything about the game. Come without a paddle. And by the time you walk away from those courts, not only do you know how to play the game, but you've made some friends and you're probably going to come back.
Correct. Absolutely.
That is just the way pickleball is. It's not the only sport that has incredible social benefits. All of them do in their own way, but pickleball is a little bit unique in that it started out as a very social sport. It continues to be so. And like you said, the camaraderie and the friendship, it's real.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, I just came back from teaching in Japan, and I'd been there in April, and these kids just couldn't wait to see me. And I was playing till 10 o'clock at night, and it was so much fun.
So how do you get a opportunity to go around the world and teach pickleball? Are you associated with a group, or is it something?
I was working with pickleballtrips.com. Daniel Moore's father is a friend and is probably the number one senior masters pro out there. And I went on one of their trips and I said, if you ever need any help, let me know. And I got a call right away and said, yeah, come on.
He needed some help and you were more than happy to provide.
Absolutely.
So you talked about Japan. I talked about England and a couple of other places. Do you have a place that has been maybe a standout experience internationally where you brought pickleball and had a great experience?
No, just all of those. I mean, I take my paddle everywhere. I even have a picture of myself standing under the Matterhorn playing with my nephew. And literally when I started hitting the ball, these people just stopped and they thought it was so cool. And what are you doing? And clapping. And yeah, I mean, I would love to be an ambassador for the sport anywhere in the world.
Well, and you certainly are that. I can tell that already. You've obviously picked up a love for the sport. You've played, around the world. You play in your backyard, but you don't just play. You actually play well. You win tournaments. You've been to national championships, U.S. Opens, all the things that I mentioned earlier. Do you have a favorite experience in pickleball that stands out?
Probably my first nationals. My partner, who's a very good friend, we were in the finals and we were losing 14-8 in the final set, 15-point tiebreaker. And she was completely cramped. She couldn't barely hold her paddle. And she just said, "You have to do everything. I'm just going to get the ball back." And we came back and won it. That was a real highlight. And then another one was I had a complete blind date. I'd never met the guy. I walked on the court and we won the 55s and I was 67. So there you go.
Wow. Amazing. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Across the board, you've done so many really, really fun things. For those who aren't familiar with the inner workings of pickleball, we don't run into very many people who have never heard of pickleball anymore.
Right.
Out there, the secret is out. But there are 3 different divisions of doubles. Talk a little bit about the different ways to play doubles in pickleball.
You mean in terms of divisions or mixed doubles, women's doubles, split pro age?
Yes, I'm talking about all of that.
So split pro ages, you're younger than 50 and your partner has to be older than 50. Women's doubles is if you're 70, I can play 19 plus, but I can't play 75s. And my partner has to be either 70 or whatever below. And the same in mixed doubles, men and women of the same age, or one being a little older and one being younger.
So just like anything across the board for masters or for seniors, yeah, for amateurs, there are age groups, and you can't play in older divisions, but you can play in younger divisions.
Correct. And then the other thing is you have a UTR rating, which means I think the lowest is 3.0 or something like that, all the way up to pro level. So if I'm a 5.0, I can't play a 3.5 division.
Right. Yeah. Right. Which makes sense. That wouldn't be fair.
Yeah.
So you are at a 5.0 or above. You're considered a pro. Is there money involved, or is that just a designation of a skill?
There is money involved. The Master Senior Pro division they've created, which is really nice for us older people. But I mean, the money isn't anything like these young kids are making, obviously. Yeah. And wants to watch a bunch of old people running around on the court. But there is some money, and it is nice to have. Just helps you on your travels and whatnot. So yes.
Yeah, just kind of offset some of your expenses. But I will take umbrage with that idea that no one wants to watch a bunch of old people run around on a court. When the pickleball is good, it doesn't matter. The age is amazing, and I know that you put on a spectacle and a show when you're on the court, again, because you're so good at it. And there are nuances to the games. It's about power, but it's also about placement. Talk a little bit about how you've developed as a player from that first time you stepped on the pickleball court, almost not begrudgingly, but almost like you were kind of pulled onto it. And now you're this great advocate. How has your play kind of advanced in that time frame?
So it was advanced in that I used to like to bang the ball a lot and use my tennis strokes. And then you realize there's a different strategy to the game, and you have to be able to soften your shots and then go for a win or lob or dink or whatever. There's a lot more to the game than it just looks like you're out there hitting a ball.
It's like any sport, right? There's more to it than it looks like. I remember watching pole vaulting thinking that looks pretty easy, and it's not. And it's the same thing with pickleball for sure.
Right.
Do you normally play with the same doubles partner, or are you constantly mixing it up?
So this year I've mixed it up a lot because my original doubles partner is 5 years younger than I am. So I wanted to play in some 70 events. But I play in all, like at nationals next week, I'm playing in the 50s. So it's, different people.
Yeah, which is another thing about pickleball, particularly and specifically, that makes it so fun. And as you've said, you really do get to know new people and really build legitimate, honest friendships, relationships that last.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk a little bit about your experience at the Huntsman World Senior Games. How many times have you played with us?
So I registered to play, and when I arrived, my partner pulled his biceps. That was 2 years ago, and I said, "I'm out of here. You don't need to play." And so I came back this year because a friend invited me to play. I literally flew home from Japan the night before I flew to St. George, and it was a great experience. They had, rain this year, and they had a lot of juggling, and you just learn to be flexible with these tournaments. They did a fantastic job getting us back on the court, and they had to change the scoring a little bit. But they did a great job. I love the venue where it is, and spent one day in Zion hiking around, and yeah, it's a super. I would advocate it a lot for anybody that's interested in playing.
Well, thank you. We appreciate any advocacy that you're willing to put out there on our behalf. We do work hard to put on a great event. You mentioned something this year that doesn't usually happen.
Right.
In all the time that I've been involved with the games, we've never had rain during pickleball, if you can believe that. But we did it this year, and we had to do, as you said, a little bit of scrambling and drying of courts and reshuffling of formats and all that kind of stuff. But we made it through, and ultimately, I think everybody had a good experience.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't hear one negative. I mean, the weather was the negative, but not the running of the pickleball.
I'm so glad that you were able to, as many of our athletes do, but so glad that you were able to take advantage of some of the other extracurricular amenities, if you will. You mentioned about going to Zion National Park, where, about an hour away from one of the most visited, most beloved, most beautiful national parks in the entire United States of America. And there are so many great things, fun things to do in addition to the competition while you're here at the Huntsman World Senior Games. We've got about a minute left. Any advice that you would share with people about life lessons that you have learned through your life of adventure?
We only have one life to live, and make the most of it, and just push yourself to the edge and do things that you wouldn't normally think you could do, and conquer your fears, and just stay healthy. That's really important.
Well, it really is. And I know that you have lived all of those things that you shared with us. Be active, be healthy, try new things. Don't be afraid, face your fears. All this stuff has led to an amazing life that you have led. And I know you've got a lot more to do, B. So we want to thank you and wish you the very, very best as you move forward in whatever adventure you decide to take on.
Thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And yeah, I'm very grateful for the life that I've had.
Well, thank you so much, B. And again, best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Just a couple of things to wrap us up here. Of course, we know the games are over, but the memories remain. We want to invite you to visit our website, seniorgames.net. There you're going to find all the official results as well as all the upcoming news. Everything that you need to know about the games are there, including rules. We don't have schedules for 2026 yet, but we will soon. So we want to invite you to take advantage of that tool, seniorgames.net. If you want to plan ahead, and why not plan ahead? Team registration for the 2026 Huntsman World Senior Games will open on January 1st. Individual registration opens on March 1st, and the games will run from October 5th through the 17th of 2026. So we want to invite you to put all of those dates on your calendar. Next week, we're going to have the opportunity to visit with James Nider. He's going to join us. He's the Executive Director of Cardiovascular for Intermountain Health, the Desert region. He reminds us that as scary as cancer is, and none of us want to get that diagnosis, but cardiovascular disease still kills twice as many men and women each year than all cancers combined. And he's going to help us understand what we can do to prevent it. You don't want to miss that show. Remember to tune in live next and every Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time on AM 1450 or FM 93.1 for the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. We take this live show and turn it into a podcast, and you can subscribe anywhere that podcasts are found. If you're listening or watching by podcast, take a moment and give us a rating, write a quick review. That can really help us spread the word. You can also find this and previous shows right on our website. Once again, that is seniorgames.net. Check that out. Today's inspirational thought comes from the character Via in the movie Wonder, which is just a beautiful movie. If you haven't seen that, you should check that out. But Via once said, "You can't blend in when you were born to stand out." Until next Thursday, stay active.